Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. Hi, Team Healthy. Glad to be here with you again on another episode of Unbound. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and answer a question that multiple ones of you have asked before, and it has nothing to do with the topic we're going to discuss here today. But the question is about Gus. Does Gus ever move? Does Gus do nothing but sleep all day long? And the answer is, he moves and he does something other than sleep. In fact, we like to go on walks, and he likes to hang out in our backyard. He works on the suntan out there, But when it comes time for me to shoot a video, I'll just say, come on, Gus, let's go to work. And he'll just jump right up there on the couch if he's not already up there and do that. That's his way of saying, okay, Dad, I'm in support of you. And then he'll fall asleep. So anyway, there's the answer to that question. Now today, you know that the Unbound series is where I respond to questions and comments from you. And today we're going to be talking about the narcissist's inability or unwillingness to show affirmation toward you. And there are times when they easily could or should, but it just simply doesn't happen. What's going on here? Now, I've got a couple of strong illustrations about how this can play out. And then as we do so, we're going to try to figure out what's behind the scenes with an individual who just can't or won't go into that personal and affirming space toward you. Now, the first one, and I know a lot of you have had similar experiences as this. This first person says, my father has never told me he loved me, not once, and I'm a man in my 50s now. To this day, he doesn't ask about my world, shows no interest in my kids, doesn't give compliments, he's easily angered, so most people keep him at arm's length, but he's made a lot of money, which to him means he's made it to the top of the mountain. Yet he treats people like objects and a little more. How does a person get to be this way? I'm making the assumption that he's got to have at least some social skills to be able to maneuver in the world of business in the way that he's described at the top of the mountain, etc. But this is a mind bender. Now, one of the things that we can say is we go back and we can certainly look into a person's family of origin, and almost inevitably, when something of this nature happens, there was probably a lack of the personal dimension that was at the forefront in that individual's family of origin. Typically, an individual like this dad or this father who's been described here is somebody that has never really been trained in what I refer to as emotional competence or the competence in conflict resolution, things like that. For example, when you have a 10-year-old kid and they're upset about something their brother or sister did, you can sit the child down and you can say, I know you're feeling upset and you were hoping for this instead of that. Let's talk about that. Let's figure that out. Most of them did not have anything that remotely came into appearance like that. Maybe you didn't either. But somewhere along the way, healthy individuals figure out, we need to go into that kind of space. These individuals don't. And the further they go into their path towards adulthood, and then they enter into their young adult, middle adult years and then beyond, then that kind of thinking just becomes more and more lost on them. It's like, I don't need to go into the personal space. I am a robot. I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to be a machine. I'm going to do everything right. And that tells me that these people are tied to strong judgments. They have certain criteria that they have focused on. In this guy's case, it was probably money or the kind of car he drove or who he's hanging out with or what kind of achievements might be there. It's like, yeah, that's my criteria. And along the way, they don't develop what I refer to as any appreciation for transcendent thinking. Now, when we think about transcendence, often we go into the spiritual realm, rightly so. But when we talk about transcendence, it begins with the notion that says, well, there's got to be something that gives a life meaning beyond just achievements and performances. And it goes into the place of love and goodness and our interconnected with one another, our appreciation for nature and all the rest. And the person that is like this father who's described there, it's like, don't even bore me with that kind of stuff. Empathy to them is stupid. Thinking about the deeper questions of life, where am I going with my life and what gives me meaning? It's like, I don't need to do that. I had a good month last month and I want to have another good month this month. That's about all they go into. And as a result, their lack of emotional training and discussion about the personal kinds of things is just something that is irrelevant to them. Relationships are transactional only. Now, let's take it a little bit further and with another illustration. This person has someone at work, and this individual says, I understand that there's a need to keep personal matters from interfering with your work life, but at the office where I work is a woman who takes that to a major extreme. She's ice cold. If I say anything about my daughter's school activities, or if I just mention that I have a headache, she makes it clear she's not interested. She's all business all the time. She's highly controlling and unfriendly. Is that normal, or is my openness, my natural openness, weird? Okay, let's go with that last one. You're not weird because you like to be open and you like to be gregarious and you like to just talk on a personal level. When we say that we don't want to mix the personal with business, that's taking it too strong. I mean, I understand that we don't need to go into the person that we're working with and say, I had a really bad fight with the person I'm living with last night. Let me tell you all about it. Okay, that's taking it too far. But again, going back to where that father was, we're more than just robots. We're more than just transactions. If I'm going to spend time with you, I don't mind at all knowing something about your personal life, and I can ask about it. How was your kid's soccer game? Or you mentioned that you were going to go into this activity last week, that turned out okay. And it doesn't have to go super deep, but it's your way of saying, I acknowledge that you're a human being. And we can do that on multiple levels, whether it's people that you meet in public or service people. You can comment like, I can tell you enjoy doing your work, or looks like that didn't play out the way you wanted. You can say something that says, I acknowledge your humanity. How hard is that? Typically, when you have somebody that is this ice cold person that's being described here, again, we go back into their deep history, and almost inevitably we can say that this person was exposed to a very strong control agenda. There's a certain way you're supposed to be. You have to make your grades. You have to clean up your room. You have to be this way or that way. They probably didn't have a whole lot of warmth and nurturing. And by the way, I get a lot of questions about autism. This is not about autism. That's more of a neurological issue, and that's a whole different topic for another day. But it could be that this individual has a natural bent towards being an achiever, whereas some individuals just show up in life in their natural impasse. And so some people have a little bit easier proclivity towards that, whereas others don't. But again, with this person, when she says, is that normal, the way this woman at work is acting? Is that normal, or am I the weird one? Whatever you can say is, you're not the weird one. There are some individuals who have decided, I just don't have any interest in developing the personal side of life. I have certain things that I want, and there's some things that you can do for me. And sometimes they can be friendly a little bit up to a point, as long as they feel like there's something at the end of it that's going to reward them. But narcissists, as a general rule, have decided warmth and tenderness and sharing and openness is just not something for me, because you see that implies vulnerability, and in their psychological math, vulnerability equals weakness, and they don't want to appear weak. Whereas with you and me, if we're on Team Healthy and we're thinking, well, openness is good, vulnerability is good. And again, it doesn't mean that you have to spill your heart to anybody and everybody that shows up. But actually, when you can say, I'm willing to acknowledge and come to terms with my humanity and with yours. I'd like to enter into your space. I'd be willing for you to enter into my space. There's a strength that implies. Narcissists are very weak. They're very fear-based. They're very shame-based. They're very judgmental-based. And they've decided, well, I'm going to get ahead of all of that by giving you the least amount of information that you can so that you can pronounce all that on me, because you're not going to do it. And I'm not going to allow that to happen. And they have this tight shield. It's part of the false self. They despise the parts of them that might appear weak or inadequate, or just, they don't have their act together. If somebody says, I don't know what to do, or I felt so perplexed, or I felt so angry and I'm embarrassed because of the way I handled it, they can't go into that space because to them that means, well, that they've given up their power, and it's all about keeping power. And then the last question here, this person says, is it possible for a narcissist to have a heart? Well, part of narcissism is defined as the absence of love, at least to me. Now, I do know that there are some people who can make adjustments. I remember I had a friend who was actually in my same profession, and I had been on a radio show, and the next day I encountered this friend's father, who had been like that first father. He was an achiever and a doer, and he's very proud of it. But the father came up to me and he said, I heard you on the radio yesterday, and I was really proud of you, and it just makes me so glad to know someone like you. Now, he was like 80 years old. He said, come here, let me give you a hug. And he did. And when I told my friend about it, he said, well, you can knock me over with a feather, because he just wasn't that way. But this fella had decided, well, it's time for something different. Sometimes they can make the adjustment. Many times they won't. But at the same time, I'm hoping you don't watch their coldness and their aloofness and say, well, in that case, then forget it. I don't want to do it. It may be that you won't be able to share with them, but you're not weird. You're not strange. Stay with it. Stay on your course. Love, kindness, affirmation, encouragement, empathy. Those are characteristics that we treasure here on Team Healthy. Now, I hope that this can give you some clarification of what you might be dealing with. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please do so. We'll keep more of these coming towards you. I know sometimes you might have a desire or a need to seek out counseling. Sometimes you don't know where to go or who to do it with. We have a sponsor in BetterHelp.com that can help you in that regard. We found since the pandemic that online therapy can be both effective and affordable. So as the need is there, we have a link below here that can take you to their link, answer a few questions, and you can select a therapist that can work with you. If it's warranted, get the help that you need. Now, also, I hope that you would visit my website, and it has lots of resources. When I say lots, a whole lot. I have my courses. Each course has at least 25 teaching videos with handouts and questions, and they're on topics like anger and boundaries and finding yourself despite controllers, what healthy connections look like. I have my 90-minute webinars, which are PowerPoint presentations, along with articles, my books. We have a lot of resources. Now, narcissists, it's like I say, they're so into power, they're so into maintaining their agenda that it doesn't even occur to them to go into that vulnerable space where they can openly discuss with you who you are and who they are and what they feel. That's on them. They have a deep history that reinforced them, or perhaps there was even abuse that caused them to go into that kind of direction. My heart goes out to them, but at the same time, that means, well, we're probably not going to have a whole lot in common now, are we? In the meantime, I'm hoping you can redouble your efforts toward the better alternatives. And as you do, I'm hoping you can find that you can keep your equilibrium despite their unwillingness to work with you on that. And that's how you're going to be able to move further and further towards your sense of internal peace.